Hey y'all, today Satine Phoenix joins us and we're going to talk about D&D and how it's helped her through some traumatic points in her life. I'm James Hudson and this is Starting Roll.
Satine, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm excited. We're going to talk about, I've been waiting. This is probably going to end up being one of my favorite episodes because I love D&D. I am newly into D&D. I've only done 2 little one-shots and I get it. I get why people are freaking out about D&D.
Yeah, because
Isn't it
it's
awesome?
play. It's play.
Yeah.
You know, it's that part of your brain that you ignite when you're a little kid and then you think you're supposed to put it away as an adult.
We're told to. Stop.
I don't know who's been telling you that.
Teachers, Miss Banks.
See, I always had really good teachers. I had drama club and artist teachers, and all my English teachers were into theater. So I was always encouraged to play, and yeah, I never stopped.
I was told to get a real job. Go be an accountant. Get a real job.
This is a real job. I feel like I'm doing okay.
I think we're doing all right.
Doing great.
But whatever.
I got fun toys.
So Satine, can you give us a little background? How did you get D&D this level, like master level D&D?
I have no idea. I just do the things. And then people see the things and they're like, hey, that's cool. You're good at doing that. You want to do this? I'm like, okay. Let's see, I've been playing D&D for 30 years now, and then about 10 years ago, I started running the community at Meltdown Comics in Hollywood. And I was doing a show called I Hit It With My Axe, a bunch of girls playing D&D, and they were like, yeah, run this. And then I started a charity called Celebrity Charity 20 with Keith Baker, who made Eberron, which is amazing. And yeah, we started that then, and it was the passion of doing the thing compulsively because I have to, because it's a part of who I am as a human being. And that just kept moving and going, and then more people would show up to the meetup group, and that was twice a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it was just very consistent, and I find that people want to be a part of things that are awesome and prove themselves over time and are consistent. And I think that's why people ask me to play and do things.
Well, you're pretty fun to be around too. Which
Thanks, man.
You're good energy, right? And that's a very important part of a make-believe session, right?
Yeah.
If you walk away from an hour or 2 hour session and you didn't have a good time, you're probably not coming back.
Yeah, no, I mean, time is very precious. And the older I'm getting, the more I'm like, we have 1 hour to play. I'm in. What are we doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, so with play, with D&D, it's all about being completely present. And that's kind of one of my superpowers. Like when I'm here, I'm here. I'm completely here. Nothing else exists.
Which is great for D&D, right? Because I mean, you really have to immerse yourself in the character and you have to use it's theater of the mind.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So back to your question, I think it was doing those things way back then and then consistently doing more things and having crazy ideas. And I did a lot of interviewing with people. I wrote comics and I kept doing storyteller stuff, and I write my own games, and that evolved into when I met the Dungeons and the Dragons. When I met them, it was like 2016. And yeah, it was just like, hey, do you want to write this module? And hey, do you want to be a part of the guild add-ups? And hey, you want to go to this convention? And hey, we see that you keep doing this thing and you're really fun in the community. You want to be the community manager. And it was just kind of this, yeah, okay, yes and, yes and. I basically have yes anded my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome. And it's made me a better game master and a better player.
Is that something you're working on? Are you getting better at saying no?
What? What is this word that you're saying that I do not know about? Is that K-N-O-W?
No,
I'm in.
No, but that is a big part of where you're at, right? Like you have to be able to things have to go into certain categories and you have to be able to execute them.
Yes, so it's not a no. I don't like to say no, but I'm now learning about timing, right? So things go into a time. When I started Gilding Light, I had all these ideas and all these people want to participate in things. And now I'm like, okay, this can happen with this amount of funds, and then I have to do this in order. So it's instead of doing like 500 things in 2 months, I'm doing 500 things over 3 years. And understanding that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm here. I'm going to be able to do these things. Having that dungeon master patience has really maneuvered how I look at working in projects.
Sure. So what's Gilding Light?
Gilding Light is my production company. It's the art of storytelling. Like I have a show called The Storyteller's Guide, and it's kind of like GM Tips, and it's kind of like Dungeon Master's Guide. I get 2 game masters or writers or storytellers or whatever, And then we make an adventure in 30 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and what I want to show people how easy it is.
It is great that you have these resources so that if it isn't easy for someone, right, and they do struggle, because it can be like sometimes you have writer's block, or sometimes you're like, hey, I haven't lived in this world for 30 years. I'm brand new, and I want to go on an adventure with my kids, right? And so how do I write a dynamic storyline and plot lines? I've tried that a little bit with my kids. It's fun. Of course, kids are super forgiving, more than so than adults. But what would you say, because you mentioned it, that you've been playing for 30 years, right? You've been in this world for 30 years. How have you seen women specifically in D&D go from late 80s, early 90s to now?
Well, here's the thing. I've been playing, I am a woman, and I've been playing since then. I didn't know it was weird until I did a Hit It With My Ex.
Okay.
And I was public about it. Because I went to college, I was in theater, and it was always a mixture of men and women and
Sure.
all ethnicities, because I come from California. That's just how it is. So it didn't occur to me until there was like an article in IO9 about I Hit It With My Ex. And people were going crazy. You're stealing our game. This is my game. You're making money off of my hobby. And I'm like, what?
Right.
There was one comment thread where I had to defend my nerddom. I had to explain that I had food thrown at me. People would invite me to parties I was the school nerd in elementary school.
Sure.
They would invite me to parties to ridicule me until I ran off crying. My grandmother dressed me from the thrift store, and it was real bad, but I had to defend myself.
Sure.
And then I realized, why am I defending myself? But that conversation actually shifted people's perspectives,
Right.
shifted my perspective of people, because that person that I was going back and forth with, people might have called him a troll, but at the end he was like, wow, I had no idea. Thank you for talking with me. And so that was like this beautiful positive thing.
Right.
And then I started seeing how other women were treated, and so I would start to come in and defend them.
Sure.
And then in Meltdown, I didn't know women had problems with playing, because all of a sudden this woman would show up and go, thank you for providing a space for me to play. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I wanted to play, but my brother wouldn't let me play, or my boyfriend let me play in high school, but then he killed my character, so I had to leave. And I was like, that's really interesting. And what I'm finding is that people the psychology of this game
Sure.
specifically, many of us are going through a lot of trouble and turmoil in high school or elementary school or college, and we attach ourselves to this world.
Sure.
And especially back then, it wasn't a game that was public that everyone shared. It was, this is my escape. This is my freedom from the nightmare.
Right.
So people didn't want, that was their time. That was their boy time.
Sure.
They don't want their girlfriends or their sisters interfering with their game, right? So I understand that mentality of how it started. Now it's evolved into something absolutely gorgeous and beautiful in the last 4 or 5 years. It still has some rough edges,
Sure.
but a lot of the people who are complaining, they are noticing that yes, they can keep complaining, or they could just, be okay with the way it's evolving and
Right.
be a part of the conversation.
Because board games and RPGs are for everyone.
They are for everyone.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because you're at least the second or third guest that's touched on how board games are an escape for trauma or bullying. Specifically, I think even popular folk in high school had some moments of someone making fun of them or some story of bullying, but then there's some of us that got it a lot more, right? If you're
Yeah.
different, we're very tribalistic people, humans are stupid and broken in that way, that we really gravitate toward the sameness, right? And so when people are different,
Oh man, yeah. So in Northern California, I was in this small town that I grew up in. I was the only ethnic family. And I lived on the side of a mountain, right?
Okay.
Only ethnic family. And they didn't treat us like, you're evil. They treated us in a objectifying way.
Okay.
Like, you're so sweet and pretty, and look at you, that family. They're like, because Filipino, we're very, we're like elves. That's how people treated us.
high elves of the world.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting. And then, of course, the bullying at school.
Right.
That was one escape I was running from. But then there was my father was was sexually abusing me. So there was these two heavy pieces of trauma, and that started actually the same year that I started playing D&D. So it was like I just grabbed on tight, to this game, and it was like even when I started in '88, I didn't have anyone to play with. So I played it by myself. I wrote stories and I like made characters, and then in high school I found people to play with.
That helped, right?
Oh,
you found some people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was just really interesting that even when I wasn't playing with other people, I was so attached to this. I was creating characters that were me, but stronger, faster, smarter. And I was defeating monsters that were cruel. And as a writer, it's really strange because now I have access to really dark things, but also the hope that a little girl needs to have in order to survive 9 years of that kind of trauma and that kind of duality in reality,
Yeah.
So, whew, it can be chills.
I mean, what do you think? This is a scary question to ask, but what do you think would have happened if you hadn't had D&D?
I honestly don't know. I was very lucky. I was a part of the Masonic fraternity growing up, so I had some really beautiful, positive people. I had paladins.
Yeah, paladins.
I had paladins in my life, and now that I think about it, they were my adventuring group. So they were the people that, like before I was playing D&D, they were the people that grabbed me up and gave me the positivity. I think that's where my positivity comes from, actually, because all we did was charity work. So
awesome. Well,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But honestly, it was the combination of all of it, because without a path to see myself, a character, physically defeating the monster, like that was the most important thing. I was defeating monsters.
Right.
And then I realized in high school, I started doing Taekwondo for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I could be faster. I could be stronger. And I was
You could level up in real life.
I leveled up in real life. I was a straight A student. I was really, so I basically was like, I want to be a level 5 this, and so it was really beautiful making the character of myself, and then crafting that. And then as an adult, for marketing and branding, like personal branding, like what is the character sheet of Satine Phoenix?
Right.
And obviously that wasn't the name I was born with, but it was who I became when I was 21, and just was so me. Like it was the character of me. I mean, it was Vlanya, the one that's on Idol Champions.
Yeah,
but, but it gave me the strength, and more importantly, it gave me the courage, because it is hard to go through life where you're getting bullied at school, you're getting bullied at home, and you're told to be okay with everything. And, life isn't perfect. I've made some choices that aren't, publicly the best. And even as an adult in the last few years, I've allowed monsters in my life, but like, D&D gives me hope.
It's always that anchor that you can go back to.
Yeah, but it also gives me the perspective to step back, right?
Okay.
Where I'm like, okay, these are my stats, these are my skills, these ones are going up, but these ones aren't getting nurtured. So, how do I finesse my character sheet of me at level, 39 should be like a level, level 12 maybe?
Yeah, I can see where having those sessions of make-believe, right, where you can control outcomes. You do have some control to parry those situations at home and at school that you didn't have any control over, right?
I don't know if I would agree with that.
Okay.
I think what it does is it gives you the ability to bob and weave.
Okay.
It gives you the ability to be spontaneous and react to a situation versus reacting to like the victim mentality.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, okay, these are the variables. What do I have to overcome this obstacle? So maybe it makes me a better survivor. Maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because you can't. There's no winning in D&D.
Right.
There's just making the best choices you possibly can with what you have.
Sure.
And I think that kind of bleeds into life. You can't win life. Right. People are like, oh, I want to be successful. Nobody knows what that means.
And it's different for each person.
Exactly. Like you could have all the money. There was a point where I had all the money, but I wasn't happy.
Right.
So, now I don't have all the money, but I am so happy.
Right.
Yeah. So my success is different, and I have to work extra hard, but even like, it's the journey.
Yeah.
I am living my hero's journey.
Sure.
And that is where my happiness lives. So it's like success and happiness, people have this idea of what that looks like, but you don't know as a human being. You can't understand what that means until you play Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure.
And you realize that if you could just keep going, then that's technically winning.
So if someone at home is watching and maybe they have their own traumas, right? But they've never tried D&D. What would be your siren call to them right? Like, what would you tell them why they should maybe try D&D to see if that facilitates?
Wow. So a lot of people play D&D for different reasons.
Sure.
And the cool thing about D&D is that you can explore yourself. I know a lot of people who are considering changing their gender. Well, they know what gender they are, but physically and openly doing that,
Right.
they've been able to explore themselves through playing D&D. So what I would say is try playing D&D as a version of yourself. Try playing D&D completely opposite of yourself.
Sure.
You know, try wearing other classes and races and explore and just see where it fits in your life, in your reality, because there is no one way to heal, and there is no one way to play D&D. And the way I explored D&D and was able to heal might not work for another person.
Sure.
I'm writing a book about it. It's a workbook that kind of shows people, you know, different avenues of doing this specific thing, actually.
Right. But you would say that it feels like D&D gives you all the tools in the landscape to do that exploration, and whatever's going to work for you individually, it'll let you swim in the waters.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if someone's new to D&D, I would say play Dungeons and Dragons and don't feel like there's a right answer. Play it to find your inner confidence. You know? Because a lot of people that play, they have this idea like there's one right way, and if I make the wrong decision, I let everyone down. And that's a big problem with people that have trauma. When you're like me and you just want to be a good girl, like you don't want to hurt other people around you. So I think that was one of the hardest things for me. And I really can only speak from my experience.
Sure.
So realizing that the skills that I learned by playing D&D, by being a player and also being a dungeon master, give me the skills in life to get the courage to ask questions, to listen and be more aware of how other people are feeling.
Sure. And I think that's definitely when you're dungeon mastering, right? Like you have that awareness that you can see a player who's having an epiphany, or they're having a moment, and you can help them facilitate maybe a moment of healing or whatever they're going through, right? Like
exactly.
Awakening.
Oh man, so that's like the second part of it all. There's the playing to explore yourself.
Okay.
And then when you have that confidence and you realize I am able to level up, and then leveling yourself up, and then you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to facilitate the healing of other people.
Sure.
And then you take those skills that you learned, and then you're hyper aware of everyone at your table. And I know that I don't dungeon master like other people.
Sure.
I'm emotional. I feel people's energies. I move the story from I attempt to move the story from one person to another and kind of lift people up and give other people moments when I feel like it's right, based on my, studying of storytelling. And one of the greatest things that I've been able to do is learn how to listen, and learn how, when I'm looking at this person engaged, how to see everybody else at the same time, and how to hear what they're saying, but also hearing what they're not saying.
Okay.
Which is super important, because there's some people who don't have the courage yet, and you have so you have a table of people. Some are they're all in different places of healing, but also maybe this person isn't healing at all, and they're just kind of playing it to play it because they just, so being able to navigate, it's almost like an orchestra, right? I'm conducting this beautiful story with other people. And I say orchestra because the conductor can't do it on his own.
So to wrap all that beautiful up, why is it important for adults to still play games?
It's important for adults to play games because it keeps you young and mentally limber, and it gets you back to why you exist in the first place.
So as a final thought, Satine, What does dungeon mastering mean to you?
Dungeon mastering has allowed me to facilitate healing for other people. It's like the big circle of life.
That's good. I kind of want to come play some D&D with you.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I feel like I need your experience of running me through a campaign.
Okay, here, roll this dice
Oh gosh.
and add a 19.
Thank you.
You dirty crit!
It's a 1.
Well done.
Looking for a way to get started with Dungeons & Dragons? Pick up the starter kit by clicking the link below to support our show and buy our recommendation today. Make sure to come back to Gamma Ray for more episodes of Starting Roll.